Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Thursday Book Club. I'm coming to you from Gadigal land of the Eora Nation, and I pay my respects to elders past and present. For anyone new, watching now or later, my name's Suzanne Leal, and I'm the author of 5 novels, most recently The Watchful Wife, and my debut book for children, which is called Running with Ivan. As many of you will know, I started the Thursday Book Club when COVID began. It was a way really to engage with readers, since I had a book that came out the same day as the lockdown. And as it grew, it became a way for readers to engage with each other as well. And I didn't really have a plan as to what we would do with it. I think when the pandemic came, so many of us didn't have plans. But it seems that it's now been 4 years and we've created a really nice community. There's been a number of the writers within our community who have been published since we started. There have been a number of readers who have had new careers, new relationships. We've had one woman whose husband was ill and died, and then we've watched her through her process, her grief process. And it's really been quite a delight. Once a month, we have a guest, and I'm absolutely delighted to have the wonderful author and my dear friend Xinran with us today. Xinran is the author of many best-selling and acclaimed books, including The Good Women of China and Sky Burial. Her new book, which I think might well be my favourite, is The Book of Secrets. Welcome to you, Xinran.
Hello, 你好, and thank you so much for having me. And not just my great thanks to Suzanne, and also thank to everyone and each single of you. I love Australia. I miss it. And thank you so much for coming see me today. And I can see some familiar face of my friends as well, like Tricia or other people. Yeah, thank you.
In fact, we have a message from Trish already.
Mhm.
She says, "Hi Shinran, delighted to see you. It's been so long since we last met or caught up. I think London pre-COVID. How are you? I've lost your email. Perhaps you can send it to me. I can't believe this is such a small world. Didn't know you knew Suzanne. There you go. The world is small."
Yes, we worked both for my charity, and we invited Tricia to China, working with the children's center as well. It's a wonderful project.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I was going to ask you about that a little bit later. It's been a
Mhm.
long time project. It was a project that you and your late husband, Toby Eady, were very involved with.
Yeah.
Yes. Before we start some questions, can I just say how wonderful you look? I don't know if that's right in these times, but Shinran, I love the rose, and every time I see you, it might be years in between, you seem to stay the same, but just a little bit somehow more sophisticated, I think. So I look forward to the next thing. Um, so you're coming from London, aren't you, Shinran? You're in London at the moment, where you live.
Yes, I'm in London, in the Queensway. Yeah,
Excellent.
just on next street. Yeah, of Kensington Gardens. Yeah.
Yes, yes, I can remember when I was last in your place, a beautiful place.
Thank you.
The Book of Secrets is a work of non-fiction that really reads like a novel. It's a story of one Chinese man, Ji, and the story is told through his hidden journals and letters. It's an extraordinary story, and I'm just wondering if you could tell us, Shinran, how did you come by this story? Did you trip over it? Was it given to you? How did it happen?
Oh, well, after Toby passed away, 2017, on the Christmas Eve, I went back to China 2018 because by that time my father passed away as well, and I want to see my mom. And also I took the chance to visit some friends' family, and also, as always, I went there to collect some more family stories. I've been doing this since 1988 when I become a radio show for China, like Woman's Hour in China. And so I met the lady called Snow. And she at that time, she went back to China as well for her father's death as well. And she always the one disagree with me, say every family has secrets. Why you always curious about Chinese story? So I always a little bit argue with her. I said, China is different, even different from Germany, because other country, they keep the records very well, but we lost lots of archives, even family photos being burned by Cultural Revolution. So we lost lots of the family evidence of photos, history. Anyway, the later on, just before I flew back to London, she sent me a letter and a special delivery in the USB. So I read her letter on the airplane. Then she explained why and she want to ask me to listen this USB, which is her father's voice record. And then she told me she discovered some secret letter of her father and also all kind of recording this kind of the bigger one, small one, obviously being hidden a long time. And in the dictionary, okay, when she tried to tidy up her father's library, then the book dropped from the top shelf. Then these letters come out. She was very shocked. She knew her parents was a political marriage, but she never really knew what happened between the mother and the father. Then she wrote her letter, say, I gave you permission, read, listen. I had no time and I'm not brave enough to read this. And then I come back London. Took me nearly 8 months to understand the voice message the father left, because in the first listening of this man voice is something just his struggle, with the Communist Party, with the family, and with his own lovers, secret one, married one. So I couldn't put everything together, and so I thought this man disgusting. I don't like him. And afterwards, by the end of this record, I feel this man and breathless to tell his feeling about his love to his wife, who he has been betrayed in his life, and also confused about his beliefs to the Communist Party. And also he feels so shameful and I didn't know how to tell his life story to his children. So I feel so strongly, that's so close to my own family and my life experience. So that is the way I decided and got the book. Yeah.
It's extraordinary. I was just talking before we came on to record with Xinran that I couldn't believe that this was actually a true story. When you read it, for those who haven't read it, it's quite Shakespearean. So it's about how China manipulated her own people, but it's also about how this one man manipulated his wife. And I thought, this has to be more Shinran's life that she's fictionalized. But no, it's a true story. Did when you read it, Shinran, and we'll talk about some of the parallels with your family, how did you feel? What was the first feeling that you had when you started to read and you realized the extent of this memoir?
The first time, actually, this book I wrote 3 times, this third version. And the first time I was in distance of the story, and I just thought it's other people's story, you know. And so after writing first draft, I read again. I don't feel I understand this man or I understand this family. And I try to figure out he joined the Communist Party. He come from, the book is 2 parts. First part is about he's a very wealthy family, quite well known in the West as well, and in Shanghai. during from 1930s all the way to 1949. And so the way he talked about that family, obviously he's well educated in the Western way and the really, the Western British school as well. And his family could speak foreign languages, and they're working with the British GEC, and also he's a very romantic man. He's a musician. He's a conductor for the. So in that way, was brought up in a very Western way. But when he joined the Communist Party at that time is rooted or structured by the peasants, farmers, uneducated people, only very few top people, top leaders, founders being educated in the West or in China. So he followed this system. And one also I feel that it's a Soviet influence, or it's about his hatred about Japanese invasion, or it's about he lost the hope to Kuomintang. So the second version, I feel myself a little bit closed because I feel my parents in there. And I feel that their voices is like, particularly the moose voices and the cold. I had a very struggle with my mom. My mom is, I'm nearly 70 now. I never had a birthday with my mom. And I always miss that. I really miss that. But my mom always say, why you always, care about this kind of, just something everybody has. So that was the second version. I feel the close. Then the third one, I started thinking, particularly last bit, and his voice there, and talking about his regrets or his struggle and his guilty. And I feel that my parents and many Chinese parents are there. I interviewed so many people, over 300, maybe 350 or maybe 400 face to face in the 40 years time. So I can feel that many children like me, we are being treated, jobed by this kind of political memory or political family, or this kind of, how do you say, everybody try to forget what we have been through. So I try to think what made this man is in his life, shaped him or gave him this kind of confuse. Then I realized his mother was a very powerful lady, and not a very educated, but she's good, and her whole family survived from the war and in 1930s, 40s. And also his loved woman, always confused. He has a secret lovers who's a Jewish girl from Shanghai. And also he loves his wife, who was a student of him. He was a professor to her. And also when he discovered his wife actually, before their marriage, fall in love with the East German man. So he used his powers through the KGB system, Soviet intelligence system, punish the man, send the man to Siberia. Then afterwards, he felt guilty about this. He destroyed his wife's, real love. And also during the voice recording, when he mentioned about a woman as a man's voice, I found that his struggle with this kind of first impression he knew about woman. So was the first image he saw was a naked woman, pregnant woman, killed by Japanese in Shanghai, because that time people life very hard. So people secretly treat the food from countryside to the city to Shanghai. So Japanese soldier always question about pregnant women. So they open their body to check the clothes and even the body to check is real pregnant or not. So Jie is a first time he was 15 years old, he saw the woman's body in that very, blood crude way. So later on, he couldn't join his physically love with his wife as well. And also, even he had scared with his daughter. But anyway, so that little bit part, finally I cut off. I just found it just too much. For me, even my writing, I feel like my shaking hands. So that is my feeling about this man from distance and to the feeling, and then later on, it's helped me to understand my father, which is very interesting when the book published in February in London, in UK. And so many Chinese, when they read it, they said to me same things. The very first time they can see their father from this book.
You said that when you started to read Jez's journals and letters, you really didn't like him. What, if you had to answer now, how do you feel about him now? What would you say?
Very interesting question. Actually, I've been asked myself, and I don't think he's a father to his daughter, to his family. Even in the letter, he like, when you open the book, it's a long letter. He writes his daughter, answer daughter's question. And again, I don't feel this is a father, the first thing. Secondly, I think he was completely drugs, poisoned by his life's belief in the political way. He was the poison man. He's not a proper, and even the way he loves his wife is not very healthy or not. He's confused all the time. Really is confused all the time. It's between the criminal and the lover.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do I like this man or do you want to? I don't know. And honestly, I'm still struggle with that. And because this is the way to think about my own father as well. Yeah. I still haven't got to this final words for that. Not yet.
And perhaps that's what makes the story so compelling, because I mean, it seems to me when I write, you need to have something that you can't quite understand, and you need to try and understand it, and that almost propels the writing. Did you find the fact that he's a very flawed and contradictory man a fascinating subject to then try to explain to the reader?
I think that if you read the first part about his family background and from a wonderful furniture or property, or I love, when he mentioned about broad beans, the family very wealthy, they have their own farmers support their own restaurants, very successful business. Then I love that way he talked when the broad beans season, all the wives, they sit in the garden, play mahjong, and eating the raw broad beans. All these kind of details, I can feel this is a man I recognized from the history books, from Chinese art, from life stories. But when I move on his life story in the university, Tsinghua, I still can feel lots of young Chinese in university and thinking and belief and fighting, all in that way. But very soon after Communist Party, particularly when the Soviets coming in, Soviet is a very big part of the system after 1949. Through his story and my research, I realized, like the second part, he sent his secret letters to his wife because he couldn't leave any writing paper as evidence against himself than to tell his feeling honestly. So he hid those letters. This is why the recording is he want to secure, keep safe all these letters. And then you can see his life changing. And then by this kind of new country, and new country, he realized all the leadership, 90% of them had no idea about the international education or foreign language or modern, not just modern, even proper industry life. No idea. It's totally farmers, and like old emperors from Asian China. Now, also another hand, he realized how powerful Soviet influenced China and destroyed Tiananmen Square and Beijing city, and also even the education system. First, the foreign language is Russian, as not English at all. First Russian, second German, and the third is English. And all the military system, education system is completely adopted from Soviet. So that for him, and start losing his hope or beliefs because he's fighting for his own country, for his proud of the Chinese culture. Then later on, he has been punished again. And even he was arrested in 2019 in the public by national security. That one, sorry, excuse me. That one is really destroyed. And his, how do you say, life beliefs to these political parties. You can see that from the book, page by page, chapter by chapter. So this is why I structured the book by the timelines and to help people to understand China. Because since I come to London 1997, or since I published my first book, The Good Old China, I luckily had a chance to travel around the world. Now I found that people talk about China only in the two ends. One is academic writing about China. Another end is fiction. But I feel that China is a people's China. History is a people's history. It's not academic or as kings or weakness. Everybody is a part of history. History should be colorful. So this is why for this man, I think I should be fair to him. Doesn't matter I like him or not, or what he's changed. And I should represent exactly what he is. He wants to be seen as a man, as a father, or as a communist fighter.
You said you want to be fair to him. Do you also want to be fair to China in this book?
Yes, I do. This is my later husband is also your friend. And I think he's a literary agent. He represented most non-English writer. After he passed away, I discovered he represented nearly 38 authors from 38 countries, all in different languages. That is a remarkable achievement, for the human being. And we discussed about my writing quite a lot. I still remember he always said to me, when you talk about China, it's your China. You're not window shopping. You are not just, you need to help people to cross the river to get another end and to see what's happened. So this is why my writing, I always want to, to share with the people a story from a grandmom's kitchen and from lover stories from the girls when they, before they married or when they grow up. Like recently I'm working, no, actually last 12 years, I work with Times Spencer in Australia and on the book called The China Dot. When they talk about the Chinese minorities, it's beautiful jewelries or, dress, then I immediately thought about we need a human story in the book. So this is why we structured the book like why when you're born, why the baby wear those kind of tiger head or dragon shoes. Then you grow up, why the girls in the 16s they start dating, they wear special flowers to attract men. Also the wedding in different minorities, they wear different, and also for the funeral, ending of the life, what means. It's not just end of your this world life. And that means you goes to another world to meet all of your families in the past. So what kind of dress or jewelry or ceremony you should have. So that is a people story and also my China story. So I do, thank you for say that. I do want to be fair to China because particularly for young generation, in many ways, young Chinese had no idea what's happening in China. In 10 years ago, lots of students, I'm still lecturer in the universities, and then the students said, the Chinese cultural revolution is Western story or is real happen? When I heard this story, I was in tears because I was put in the political prison 6.5 years, no right to play with other children, no right to even free talk, and even no right to eat proper food. We're waiting for everybody after their meal is come to us. And also any red cards had a pick was beaten in the night. So that's real happen. But young people had no idea. So think about their elder generation, their father and the grandfather being through this kind of, then in the textbook, in the shared society, in the history, nothing there. I think it's unfair to elders and to younger because we between the roots and the leaves.
You're talking
Yeah.
about elders, and I noticed that you dedicated the book to your late husband, Toby Eady, to his parents. Um, why to his parents? What made you think of them to dedicate this book to?
Sorry. When I met Toby in 1997, I started teaching. That time I was teaching SOAS and Rong Zhang, the author of White Swan. She's my good friend. Her husband was Toby's close friend. So when they introduced me to meet Toby, I fight with Toby at the first 10 minutes because he said to me, he knows China better than me. I was really furious about that. I said, if you can't speak Chinese, you never lived in China. How could you understand China better than me? Anyway, and then later on was his mother, Mary West, also the author. And then she wrote a lot of letters to me, explain, say, Toby never had a proper family. Even he didn't know his own father until he was 19 years old, because it was a big secret. And then I started sharing and talking about the family, uh, how much family is like a big wounds or big hole in our lifetime. And then I found that Toby had no whole image for me. His father, who's a German Jews, and moved the family to the Prague. Afterwards they lost the property and lost lives, and his grandparents missing. And ended the war. Then later on, they realized they discovered until 2014, how the grandparents died. Then I went back to the family yard. I was told in the Prague, a big property, very beautiful, just outside Prague. Then they've been used after this family been killed, all of them, and the guests killed because they have a Jewish background. Then when I went back, I think 2019, 18, and 20s, I was the first person back to this property after 1943 when the family killed. And when to to search the family background, then I realized this property being used by Nazis army's headquarters, then Soviet orphanage, then Czech Republic women's hospital until 2014 bought by East German for the horse racing. You know, Toby had no idea what's going on in the family, that part of the history. And also his mother's side, Mary Wesley, if you read her books, you know, Mary was the first first lady divorce law in UK history. So Toby had been, how do you say, Toby been suffered quite a lot by this kind of very complicated, and also it's not a proper family life, and always in the public and the propaganda or this kind of, you know, and I just want to, you know, he's my soulmate. We've been married and know each other over 20, nearly 24 years. We never stop conversation. You know, when I ask him why you always work with a non-English author, he always said, without the conversation, without understanding, we never live in the peace. It's so true. So when I finish my third version of this book, I feel that now I got the answer of my parents. It's a similar snow, you know, and I want to tell Toby because after he passed away, I spent 6 years and dig out Toby's family and found that her father was shot down in Budapest. So I went to grave. And also his uncle died in the Island White, yeah, in UK. So I went to his grave, and also the mother and the whole the family. So that's my homework about Toby's family, and also for my love to Toby as well. And for many, many families, you know, I had people after reading the book and to know we need to continue, we need to pass on this kind of, not the good or bad. It is, we all come from this kind of colorful family history, you know, like many Chinese people said to me, should I see my father, my parents, communist is black, or should I see their capitalism is white? I said, no. Look at the Chinese beautiful painting from Song Dynasty, you know, 10th century. It's black, between the black and the white. You'll see so many levels of gray. And those grays represent, you know, seasons, space, landscape, feelings, human lives, you know, all in there. So China possibly is a little bit gray in last 100 years, but we have full of lives in there. So that is my feeling to Toby's family and to my love to Toby.
Thank you, Xinran. I think it's your turn to ask questions of Xinran. Because there's a number of people here, what I'm going to do is just, if you have a question, please just pop it in the chat. And while you're getting that ready, I'll ask Xinran for what we always ask our guest, Xinran, for some recommendations for books. Yeah, I thought you might have a couple of recommendations for us that we can put in the newsletter next week.
Mm. Well, recently, since last year, I've been reviewed a few books, but this year I got a very good, I love to see. One is called the book Private Revolution. Author is Yuan Yang. She's young Chinese and grew up in UK. And then she worked for FT, and now she just got become a Labour Party's member. And the interesting is this book is talking about the coming of the age in new China. That means young Chinese girls, how they feel fast changing in China because they couldn't see the rules properly, and they couldn't have a proper conversation with their parents, elders, and also every single day they have to dealing with, you know, and the westernized the China society. So she interviewed, met people and talking about this, what they're thinking about living in this kind of China. I think it's a very interesting book, just come out and by Bloomsbury, and the Private Revolutions by Yuan Yang. Another book is just come out last week. I reviewed the book and also my blog on the cover as well. And this is, I think it will be the classic to understand between the China and the English system, colonial system as well. And the book title called The Great Reversal. Sorry about my English. Yeah, author is Professor Carrie Brown. Carrie Brown used to be the diplomats working during the Margaret Thatcher period. And then he become, how do you say, the professor and the specialist on China modern history. So this book is about Britain, China, over 400 years context for power. It's a very interesting. I have to say, I've been reading and working with the BBC World Service and also Guardian. We talk quite a lot and between the Britain and the China. Actually, when you say Britain, actually, it's a British system because like Australia, New Zealand, Canada or South Africa, we all been in the same roots. Yeah. So this book talk about from 16th century and all the way, to today, how the power communicates and exchange. I think it's a very interesting book. Another book is called Tianmen Girls. And the Tianmen Girl is authored by Wen Lai. Wen Lai. The line, she come from Beijing, and she talk about her childhood. When I interviewed her, I realized actually she fictionalized her experience in Beijing, in Tiananmen, to the stories. It's a very nice book as well. Yeah, this is I've been reading or working and enjoying the three books here. If you want to talk about Chinese book, I had some Chinese books very good. One is by Feng Jicai called Crowded Face. Crowded Face, very interesting. The author called Feng Jicai. He is a specialist and the chairman of the Chinese heritage system. And in the book, it's a short story, very funny, talk about the 19th century, how the people behavior in the street in a very funny way in Tianjin. So that book, very interesting. Another book, Chinese author called Feng Tang, Beijing. It's about Beijing teenagers, how they fighting and deal with their own body hormones, a group of the boys. And also Fan Wu is my good friend. She just published a book called Soul Left Behind and talk about Chinese laborers fighting with the British Army and the French during the First World War between the 1914s and the 19th. Very moving story, how the Chinese men being selected as labor, sent to the battlefield in France on the border between the Germany and the French. Yeah. So this three Western books and three Chinese books. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Xinran. We've got two comments here. One from Ursula Dworzowski, and Ursula, I think, as I explained, is a renowned children's writer. She was the Children's Laureate a couple of years ago. And she said, thanks so much, Xinran and Suzanne, for such a rich and very moving talk. Wonderfully stimulating. Look forward to future meetings. And your friend Trish Amici says, hi, Ursula, great to see you here too. And I absolutely agree with your comments, Trish. So I'm mindful of the time. So you've got one last job, Xinran. I'm going to ask you to choose a number between 1 and 13, please. Any number between 1 and 13.
Me.
Yes, you.
9.
9. Okay. I'll explain what that.
Oh gosh, you have a special mind reader or something?
No, it's a raffle. It's my non-technically proficient raffle. So I'm just going down the line and you've chosen the number. We had 13 participants and the winner is Mal Eden. And Mal will be sent her prize. So Mal, if you could send me your address and just via email, then we'll have that to you. So thank you very much, Xinran, for your your
Oh,
rather
thank you.
good.
Thank you, you all. I'm so pleased and see you. And I really want to thank you for this kind of, how do you say, soulmates to share and your care to China as well. And thank you for your forgiveness of my Chinglish.
Your English is beautiful, Shinran. So much more to talk about translation, about how you write. Next time we will do this. We'll do part two. If you
Yeah, thank you,
have it.
Suzanne. If you any help, want to interview Chinese author on China, I will be a volunteer. Thank you.
Fantastic. Excellent. And I've got thank yous from Jane Smith, who's saying she's really looking forward to reading the Book of Secrets, and also from Anna Kellerman, who's a writer and also a book person. So she a book a woman of community. And again, thank you and thank you for your openness. And there's another. So Trisha has given you her email. If I'll what I can do, Shinran, is I can send that to you if we lose that now. So I'll
Yeah.
just save that.
Anyone send my email and telephone is I never changed my phone and email address in last 27 years
Okay.
because we're working with we're working with adoptees around 27 countries adopted from China. Yeah, there is a 160,000 Chinese girls being adopted by 27 countries. Australia is a big number as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, that's going to have to be for the next time to but of course you've got the website for Mother's Bridge for Love, and
Yes.
people can look up that in the meantime. Excellent. Well, I'm going to let everybody go off for their evening, and Shinran, you for the rest of your morning. And thank you again for your time and many congratulations.
谢谢. Thank you. Lots of love to you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Susan.
Our
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Pleasure, Shinran. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.